With Saunders Waterford, should the embossed name, should it be on the painting side or the back side?
So with any paper that's got a watercolour mark, if you hold it to the light and you read it properly, so you can actually read it, hold it up to the light, that's the correct side for painting on. However, you actually might prefer the wrong side. So there is no right or wrong, but they have prepared, if it's got surface sizing, just sort of hold it up to the light. If you can read it properly, then that's the correct side. But it's always worth experimenting, see which side you prefer, because it might suit you better the other side. I'm using Bockingford, and that doesn't have a right or a wrong side, doesn't have a watermark. But yeah, with that Saunders Waterford, just hold it up.
Perfect. Hazel said, thanks. I'll continue on what I now know is the wrong side.
But you might like the wrong side. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
That's quite funny. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Arty Class hosted by Shopkeep Arty, the online platform used by artists, galleries, schools and communities to host their webinars, sell tickets for upcoming events, create virtual art galleries and a gift shop selling items with your art so that you can make money when someone makes a purchase. We even take care of the manufacture and dispatch for you so you don't have to. Our latest product, actually, that we added last week is, you might be interested in this, Liz, is an eco mobile phone case. So you can add your art onto the phone case and there's no plastic. It's actually a biodegradable one. So, you know, you're supporting the planet as well. If you're interested in hosting workshops or selling items with your artwork, our team are happy to discuss how we can help. Simply contact us through the website. For those watching an Arty Class for the first time, be it on this interactive webinar or live on YouTube, our free weekly Arty Classes feature award-winning artists from around the world and are designed for all ages, providing a great creative escape every week on a Tuesday at 2, everything to do with a tea. And I hope you've got your cup of tea as well. That's 2 o'clock UK time, by the way. On Thursdays, we host additional Arty Classes and other sessions for our patrons who support us. And so if you do enjoy it today, you can become a patron for as little as £1.50 a week and get an extra monthly Arty fix. To register for an interactive Arty webinar, you do this by visiting Shopkeep Arty, and I'll just share my screen with you now so that you can see. I do this every week, but for those of you who are new, and you click on the Arty Classes and you scroll down and you can see our video archive of our Arty Classes and also our workshop video archive as well. When you click these buttons, you do need to pay for the workshops because those are over 2 hours long, and you go to the respective artist shops. And you can also see the live events that are coming up. And I would particularly draw your attention to a live model art workshop happening this Thursday with Anya Devine, who has won various awards. And we've also got a gold medalist Olympian featuring. He's actually going to be sitting for her, and it's going to be live from Edinburgh. So that's going to be an amazing workshop. And then next Tuesday, we've actually got a sponsored Arty Class by Nitram Charcoal. And we've got some free giveaways for that thing. So, and that's a free one to attend. So I definitely jump on that one if you can. So those are all coming up. So hopefully that helps. So our free Arty Classes are designed to give a great taster, but we then give you the opportunity of booking a full workshop webinar with the artist. It's a much more immersive experience and a lot more time, less people, and you'll spend over 2 hours with the artist and learn loads of their tips and tricks for creating amazing art. It works out at just over £10 an hour, so it's an amazing value as well. This week, we're welcoming back, if you hadn't already guessed, Liz Chadderton, who is becoming a bit of a regular and works mainly in watercolour painting animals. She published a few books, including Painting Watercolours on Canvas in 2019. As always, Liz and I can't see or hear you, but you can type your question in the Q&A. There's a Q&A button at the bottom. Or if you press the hand icon, I can see that, and then I can invite you in to put your question directly to Liz. So if you've got paintbrushes in both hands and everything, you might want to do that instead of typing away. If you're watching on YouTube, there is a bit of a delay, but you can type a message and we'll do our best to answer it live for you. Also, please remember to hit the thumbs up button, as it'll help with the YouTube algorithm of trying to get it out there to more people and support our mission to creatively inspire as many people of all ages around the world. Finally, we'll stop around halfway to take a short break, and we'll be asking Liz to outline her exclusive workshop that's going to be taking place on the Tuesday, the 3rd of November. But for now, it's time to hand over to our main act, Liz. Hello, Liz.
Oh, hi. It's like being live at the Apollo, and wonderful. Hello, lovely to be back. So today we're going to be concentrating on negative painting in watercolour, and it may be called negative painting, but it's really positive. So there you go. If you can show my artwork, this is the sort of thing that we're going to be painting today. I thought it's autumn for us in the UK, so using autumn leaves, we're going to build up layers of leaves by negative painting. But just before we kick off, I wanted to kind of tell you what negative painting is and give you a few examples to see why it's so important and useful. So let me move that out of the way and just show you, in its simplest form, negative painting is about painting the space around the object rather than painting the object. So a leaf here is the positive object, but by painting around it, you discover the object, and that's what we're going to do. Let me just show you something maybe a little more sort of complicated. Oh, well, not complicated, it's just that taken more. So this vine with berries is all painted by painting the space in the air around the object. And you might think, why bother? And why bother is because we're watercolorists, maybe painting white objects on white paper. How do you do that? And you do that by painting the space around it. So these flowers, I think they're petunias, I could be wrong. I painted the space around it. If you look in the middle, I have painted the middle, so that's positive, but I've painted the petals negatively. And just to show, say, totally different subject, this cricketer, there's loads of negative painting here for his stumps and his, I don't know, what you call those, cricket whites, etc. So it's all negative painting that makes him stand out. You can still see he's a cricketer, I hope. But it's by painting the space around him. So that's what we're doing today.
Brilliant, thank you.
Right. So, I hope you might have got a few, I was just going to lift those up, autumn leaves. They're a great subject. Obviously, you can use anything, but that just seemed topical. So that's what's going to inspire us. And what I wanted to start with is just showing you basically the technique. And because we're on limited time, I'm doing that. Here's one I prepared earlier. Ha. So by painting the space round our leaves, we can see the object itself, but there are some do's and don'ts. What you don't want to do is just outline the leaf with your paint. You do want to paint the entire space to take it away so that you don't get these horrible hard lines outlining it there, or say strange hard lines because you've stopped the paint. So you don't want to do that. The other thing is you don't want to have strange colour mixes, because effectively on this side of the stem it's the same space, it's the air that's on the other side of the stem. So having a different colour one side from the other just looks a bit weird. So you've got to try and make sure that the colours travel through the air behind the object. We're going to build up lots of layers in our painting, so we don't want to go too dark too soon, but equally well, we don't want to be so insipid that we haven't got any nice contrast going on. So not too dark and not too light. And probably this third one is about right. So we've got some nice gradual colour changes. The space is right. So say, for example, each side of this stem is the right, it's the same colour, it's the same air that it's sort of breathing, and it's that sort of middly amount of pigment on the paper, so we can build up layers and get darker, but it's not too insipid. Of course, we've just got to take into account that watercolour dries, I don't know, 10, 20, even 30% lighter than when it's wet, so do take that into account. So that's just a few pointers when we get going. I hope that makes sense for you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, Liz.
Okay, cool. So we are going to start with, I'm not going to call it a background because actually it'll be the layer nearest us when our painting's finished. So we'll call it an underpainting. And if we get this done now, it can dry because each layer needs to be dry before we move on. But this is fun. This is just playing with pretty colours on paper. I've selected a few autumnal colours and I put some suggestions in the materials list. So I hope, I can't remember who it was who was saying, is there a materials list? I hope you found that. But colour-wise, just go for whatever you like in terms of autumn colours. So I've got some gamboge here. It looks very green on the screen, but that's because my palette's rather stained. But that's so gamboge yellow. I've got some quin gold here, which is lovely orangey yellow. I've got a bit of sap green. I've got a bit of burnt sienna and, oh no, sorry, that's burnt sienna, cadmium red and some alizarin. So I've just whatever autumny colours you fancy. 5 or 6 will be brilliant. I love tube colours.
Sorry, Karen's asked a question. Does she need to tape the paper down like you've done?
I've taped it down because we're going to use quite a lot of water. And even if your paper is fairly heavyweight, you find it just sort of bows a bit. So I've taped it down. And the other advantage is when you take the tape off at the end, you've got a nice clean edge to it. Yeah. And it just sort of focuses the eye. So entirely up to you, but that's the reasons that I've taped it down, just to give that nice clean edge and to stop it getting out of control. This is knopped paper, £140 or 300 grams per square metre as the weight, so that it won't cockle, but you just sometimes find it sort of bows a bit if you've put a lot of water on it.
And Avi's asked, should the paper be flat or at an angle?
Okay, I'm working flat because of the camera. Personally, I usually end up propping my paper up just on something like a masking tape reel, so that it's at, I don't know, 5% angle, that sort of angle. So if I were you, I would prop it up, but I'm working flat just to be able to show you more clearly.
Okay, thank you.
That's all right.
Yep.
Hokey cokey. So I've got 2 pots of water. I've got my dirty water for cleaning off my brush and my clean water for mixing paints if I need that. And all I'm using is, that's actually a size 10 brush, but an 8 to 10, a middly size pointed round brush is all we need. Okay, but we're going to do that underpainting first because that needs to dry. And I'm going to wet my paper all over. and I've got a lovely big brush. It's like a wallpaper brush, but it's lit just to wet the paper, because I don't want anything too obtrusive in this layer. You could use a spray bottle if you want, or just use your round to wet it down. It's just it would take a bit longer. And then this is the lovely bit. We just let the colours come out and play wherever you want them on the surface, and just let them have a little play together. There is no rhyme or reason to this. It is just as you fancy, so that you get beautiful mixes of random colour. Then you can tilt your board, and hopefully you can see that gravity will start to take it in different directions. And you could use a spray bottle if you want to, or just let gravity do its thing. And maybe we'll go that direction, because this is just the underpainting. It's to give us an interesting background. I've got some white areas here, so I might just encourage those to go. There, that wasn't very complicated, was it? But what we need to do is just take off the excess round the edges, just so that it doesn't go back into it and start to form those sort of little cauliflowers and things. And then if we fancy, and I think I put this on the materials list, we could sprinkle some salt into it to get some interesting marks. Or, I'm sorry, I'm just going to let this flow a bit more, just because I thought that would look rather nice. We could, oh, I don't know, splatter in a little bit of paint, just because if you look at fallen leaves, they often have, they're damaged and splodgy and whatever. So we could put in some little splatters. That might be quite nice. Let's another colour. This is a bit of cadmium red going in there. And I'm just letting it all mix and do its own thing. And it's quite bright at the moment, isn't it? But this will mellow down as it dries.
Takes me back to Woodstock.
Yes, did you have a tie-dyed t-shirt or something? Oh, I didn't know you were an old hippie.
No, I'm not that old. I'm not that old, actually.
Okay. Well, I've done Glastonbury, so there you go. So I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit of table salt. It might be a bit too wet at the moment, and it is a sprinkle. It's just to get some patterns going and some interest. I just like table salt rather than rock salt or anything. So, and then we need to let that dry for it to do its magic. And because watching paint dry is not very exciting, I'm going to do here's one I prepared earlier.
Oh, very good. Now, if people are following along at home, I mean,
you'll need to
how long would it take to dry that, Liz, do you think?
Pardon, say?
How long would it take to dry?
Well, I would use a hairdryer on it, because we put it. I mean, how long it takes to dry is how much water you put on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So the amount of water I put on there, if I let it dry naturally, it's probably half an hour, which would start to get very boring, which is why I did, here's one I prepared earlier. Yeah. So maybe why don't you watch what I do at this layer while yours is drying, and then catch up, because we're going to do maybe 3 layers, just depending slightly on the time we've got.
We've obviously got that halfway break as well, so they'll have a little bit of time during that.
Exactly.
Well. Okay.
So I think that would be the best thing, is get your surface done, and it literally should take 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Let it dry. Watch what I'm doing here, and then can do the next layer when yours is dry.
Now, I've got a question from Sayani on YouTube saying, how do you splatter without big wet blobs falling on the
Right, let me just grab my one. Oops, that's on the floor. And let me show you. So I've put it on the floor. Oh, actually, look, can you see the salt starting to work down here already?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
going to be pretty. Yum, yum, yum. What I do is just load my brush, and by load, I mean just, put it in the paint. And then I do a gentle tap on my finger. And that's what so if your paint isn't too thin and a gentle tap, you should just get smaller bits. If you do a heavy tap, you'll get big blobs. So it's just a nice gentle tap to get a few little marks, just to add a bit of fun to the party.
And also, as you said before, probably the consistency of the paint has to be right as well.
A little bit, but it's more about just being a bit gentle rather than sort of going whack. It's just a gentle tap. I mean, you could just gently tap just with clean water as it's drying, and then deliberately you'd get little cauliflowers all over it and little watermarks, which could be fun. When you're drying it, another thought is, because I've got a bit of a puddle here, you could actually stand it up to dry, or even put it at an angle so that you don't get a puddle. So that could be something else you could do if you wanted to. But as I say, if you can look at how the salt is already starting to work over here. That bit's a lot drier than there. And it just gives us lots of lovely marks to play with.
Yeah, great tip. Okay. Thanks, Liz.
Cool. So as I say, this is the one I did do earlier. When it's totally dry, you need to take off any salt and either just brush it off or use your thumbnail if it's a bit stuck. Salt is one of those funny things that on some pigments it'll work beautifully, and in some areas it won't do anything. And it's all to do with the pigment and the amount of water that you've got on the paper at the time. There is no guaranteed way of getting the effect you want. It's just a surprise, and it's often a very happy surprise. So you can see here I've got very plain areas, and here I've got lots of patterns, and that's probably good, because if it was all this busy, then it would be a shock to the eye, really. So actually having plain areas is no problem. So when you've got your area dry, you need to think which way up is best. I may have painted it this way, but if I prefer it that way, I can just turn it round, and that's just up to you, basically. Which you prefer. I love this little area here. So I'm going to use these, I think they're sycamore leaves. I don't know. They've got beautiful colours and shapes to them. So I think I'm going to base my drawing or my painting on these. And you can do what design you like. I mean, you could do like an autumn wreath if you wanted to, and have your leaves painted, in a circle. That would be, beautiful if you're that sort of organised person. So you could have them in sort of, I don't know, a circle like that. Or if you're like me, we could go for a nice random approach, because I'm a bit more random. So there you go. Entirely up to you. I am going to cheat, because why not? And I'm literally going to draw around my leaf, because it'll be a lot quicker. Obviously, you could draw this freehand, and normally I would, but as I say, I just thought it would be quicker if I draw around the leaf. So if you haven't got a leaf, just draw it freehand. If you have, and it's the right sort of size, you could just draw round it. I've drawn quite lightly, and you're probably going to struggle to see that. There is an outline there. It's just I don't want my pencil to show through in the final painting. And now comes the negative painting side of things. You could either wet round the leaf with clean water to start with. So if you've got very absorbent paper and you don't want to get a hard outline, that's what I'd suggest. Or you can just paint round it. So I put some clean water down, and now I'm dropping some colour in. And if you remember at the beginning, I said, let's spread that away so we don't get a hard outline. I'm just using clean water to make sure that I don't get that hard outline. And now I'm coming the other side of the stem. And I hope you can see there that immediately, because we're painting the space around our leaf, but we can actually see the stem appear because that's our unpainted bit of paper. And then I'm going to carry on round here.
Now, Hazel said, would you ever stick your leaf down with the spray peel off glue?
No, because I think when you came to paint, the glue would interfere with the paint on the paper, and it might damage the paper. So there's no need, because you don't have to be hugely accurate. No one is ever going to say, I think you'll find that leaf wasn't that shape. You know, leaves come in all shapes and sizes, and they get damaged as they fall off the trees. So no, just get a shape down. Don't worry about it. What I'm doing is altering colours as I go along and letting them play on the paper again. And because watercolour is transparent, we can still see those beautiful salt marks that we worked hard to get right at the beginning. And I'm coming round here and just pulling that colour away. And actually, this is going to be a very plain leaf. I've probably placed it in a bit of a silly position, to be honest, because actually this leaf is going to be very plain because I chose a plain area of my background to show you what was going on. But you might want to place a leaf on a more interesting patterned area. So by painting around it, you can totally see the leaf appear. And that's our first layer as such.
Yeah, it's very effective, isn't it?
Well, it just sort of shouts out, but it gets more and more effective as you put more leaves in. Mm. Now, I've got space down here. I could put a second leaf down here. So why don't I? Let's bung another leaf here. Sorry, I'm just going to get rid of that slight puddle that was forming. So I'll put a leaf down here. And again, I'm just drawing it in. I mean, you might be good enough to do this all freehand, but I'm not. So I just like to have a little bit of guidelines so that I can do this. And then so again, just so that you can catch up, it's simply using whatever colour paint you fancy to paint the air around your leaf. It's nice to alter colours.
Now, Sue's just said, how do I get the salt off? I've dried the paper with a hairdryer, but have lots of salty bumps. I think you've just got to use a bit of...
your thumbnail.
Bit of grit and determination.
Just a gentle thumbnail, you'll be fine. If it's really dry, it will come off. And as I say, I just use my thumbnail and scrape it off. So yeah, it will come off, but just be a little, as you say, a bit determined. You know, who's in charge, the salt or you? Possibly the salt, but there you go. So I'm going through exactly the same process again, just with this second leaf, because I thought it would give you time to catch up. that of not outlining it, but painting the space around the leaf, varying the colours to make it sort of exciting, and dragging the colour away with a wet brush so that I don't get a nasty sort of outline like I have in that red area there. That's absolutely, we don't want that. So lots of clean water, pull it away, and let those colours mix. And can you see, because I deliberately placed that leaf on an interesting area, I've now captured that lovely pattern, whereas say over here I've got a very plain leaf that maybe isn't as interesting. This area I haven't got very much contrast, so I can't really see the edge of the leaf. I could either just accept that, or I could go in and maybe darken some of that so that I get a bit more contrast, and that might work a bit better.
Now, Kyla's asked, would it be better to let the negative first leaf dry before doing the second one, so that the wet colours from the first leaf don't run into the second leaf negative painting?
Oh gosh, that's complicated. So I did my second leaf on a dry area.
Yes.
So yes, it has to be dry, because if I tried to come over here, which is still wet, I would only get fuzzy soft edges, which I don't want for this technique. So
yeah, you picked a dry area as the page.
I picked a dry area to do it on. So it needs to be dry in between. But you know, given this size of paper, I could have actually done very easily done 3 or even 4 leaves at this stage. I just didn't because I wanted to get going. But yeah, I need to dry this now before I can start to tuck some leaves in behind them. So if I can just quickly hair dryer this while people catch up, that would be really good. Okay. But if you're painting along, maybe just do 1 leaf and then we'll tuck some more underneath. I'm just doing a few to give you time to to catch up. And
would it be worth us having our little break now, do you think? Or
oh gosh, is that the time? Oh,
it's past. Yeah.
Oh, that goes so quickly. Yes. Yes, we could. Why not?
So why don't we? And then you can hair dry the last bit of it while we.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay. So we'll have that little break now. Now,
right.
before we ask Liz to explain what she plans to do with her exclusive workshop in November, I've actually got a question for you. The other week we held our first patron-only Q&A and had a bit of a roundtable discussion about our future plans and other ideas. It was really great, and actually went on, I couldn't believe it, for over 2 hours. So it was a really, really good session. But one of the many things to come out from that was about varying our Arty Class schedule. So this is the question. So in addition to our paint along classes that a lot of you have been attending for many, many months now, would you be interested also in hearing from renowned artists about how they started to sell their artwork and grow their businesses? So it's a little bit more, if you're starting to get a bit more serious into art, or and you'd like to kind of get some tips and tricks about selling artwork and what techniques they used for kind of getting their artwork out there, would that be of interest? So let me just I've got a poll, and you can just say yes or no on the poll. That would be the easiest thing. And actually, no, that's my need more time. Hold on a second. I'll put the wrong one up. You don't need more time. Here we go. Would you be interested to watch? There we go. So if you can just put yes or no on there, and that'll just give me a little bit of feedback on that. So it would just be tips and tricks, not with art, but with selling art. So it'd be interesting. If you're on YouTube, you can just put a yes or no on there. That would be great as well. So it looks like it's a fairly resounding yes on our webinar here. So that's really great to know. So thank you very much for that. And it looks like we've had a few yeses on YouTube as well. So brilliant. Thank you very much. So now we'll get back to, I'll press end poll there. Now we'll get back to asking Liz about her workshop, which I believe is on Tuesday, the 3rd of November. So Liz, maybe you can, now your camera's actually gone off, your overhead camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll do a bit of filling in. I'll reach for the microphone. Right, I'll sing a song.
Well, I could hold it up to my face on camera, and then everyone could get a quick cup of tea while I fix my overhead if you want.
Yeah. It shouldn't be too difficult. You just need to probably just get onto the Zoom again. But basically, on the 3rd of November, it'll be at 3:30 UK time in the afternoon, and Liz is going. You might need to just hold it landscape.
Yeah, just doing that, John.
Yeah. And Liz is actually going to be doing, obviously Liz is renowned for doing animals, so she thought we'd have a bit of the Christmas theme tie-in, but it's going to be a really interesting workshop to do penguins. So let me just go back to Liz, or I'll go to the overhead now. There we go. And
yes,
maybe you can just say a few words about that, Liz.
Okay, so I thought that penguins would be a lovely theme, and I mean this is a card because I've sold the original, I'm afraid, because it would build on today about negative painting, because they've got their lovely white tummies that we need to bring to life. So we've got some negative painting that we were doing today and we're going to work on, but it's a lovely topic, and we can really get colours working for us and getting a lot of flow and just gorgeous. So that's what I thought we'd do, and I've provided.
I'll obviously be on a slightly bigger canvas than that.
yes, more like this. Sorry,
Yeah.
It will. I would be planning at least sort of 35 centimetres. That's about 12 inches square.
And you've actually made them into Christmas card, that design, is that right? Is that a Christmas card?
This is just a greetings card. Yeah, I print up my work onto cards. So yeah.
So that, I mean, it does make quite a good object to do something like that, really, especially really coming up to Christmas.
And I mean, if you do print your cards, obviously you can put your details on the back. You know, your poll just said about selling work.
Yeah.
This is doing your own cards is a really good marketing ploy, because not only you sending a card, which hopefully people will be happy to get, they've got all your contact details, so it's a really good marketing thing.
Yeah, and we've got on our shop platform, we've got wooden postcards which you can do, and you can add that. But just as a bit of a preliminary information, we have found a supplier that do printed materials. They actually do museum prints, so they're really great quality. But they also do cards and calendars and things like that. And we're working hard to try and introduce that onto our shop platform so that you can create your own cards and everything. You don't have to order anything. You can just upload it, and then when people order it, we manufacture and send direct. So that could be really great, and it could be a good tie-in for doing this type of workshop with the penguins or whatever. So brilliant. And
sorry, John, I was just going to say I've supplied some reference photos for the workshop, but I wanted part of the workshop to be about composition as well. So I've suggested taking elements of those photos and actually making your own composition, whether it be, having them face on tummy wise, having a whole string of them. So people can really make it their painting rather than it being my painting, if you sort of mean. I really want people to develop their own work. So that class is going to be about a bit of composition, some negative painting, and just enjoying getting the watercolour to really work for you.
Brilliant. So that workshop, as I said, is on the 3rd of November, and to book the workshop you visit Shopkeep Arty, go to the classes section, click on the workshop that and Avi, yes, we do have some reference photos, so if you click on the workshop that's coming up, you'll see the reference photos there of the penguins that you can use. Or you can use your own as well, so it's totally up to you. Obviously Liz will be going through the techniques, but she'll be using those reference photos that we've put on there, and if you can click through into Liz's shop and you can purchase that workshop. And the normal price to attend the live workshop is £35. But fanfare, drum roll, whatever the thing is, we're going to be launching some hot tickets for the next hour that give you 5% off. So if you are interested in joining that workshop, we've got a special link that I'm going to put up on YouTube now, and also on the webinar in the chat section that you can click on, and it will give you a special 5% discount, but it's only going to be open for the next hour. So we call it our hot ticket. So that's up to you whether you want to take advantage of that or not. Right, so brilliant. Thank you for that, Liz. That was a really good overview of what's coming up early next month. And how have your leaves been? Are they almost dry?
I'm doing that Bake Off thing. I don't know if you watch Bake Off, when they always sort of fan their cakes to get them to cool down. I've been down out of camera shot. I'm fanning my cake thing. Can I spend a minute just hair drying her?
No problem. The sound should cut off automatically, I think. So
good. I'm just going to give it a zap.
Oh, Sue asked, do you need to erase the pencil lines? And I would imagine not, or I don't know. It's difficult.
If you give me a second, when it's dry, I was going to say, when it's totally dry, I rub out all the pencil lines.
Perfect.
It needs to be totally dry, otherwise you'll scuff the whole of the surface of your paper.
Okay, thank you.
So if you give me 2 seconds.
Yep.
Right, that's better. So the way to tell whether your painting is dry is to use the back of your hand. Obviously it's warm from just being hair dried, but once it's tempered down, just check. If it still feels cool to the back of your hand, that means there's still water in the paper. If it feels room temperature, just normal, it means it's dry. So, and we really want to be dry in between each layer. This feels a little bit damp just in that corner, so I'll make sure I work over here. And yes, whoever asked the very important question about pencil lines, I don't want them to show, so I'm rubbing them out at this point. But if you did this while your paper was damp, there is the danger that you would sort of scuff off the top layer. So I might just have to be careful in this corner. But it'll give you the idea of what's going on.
Now, Janice has just asked, do I just click on the chat icon to access the workshop discount? I've just put the link on there now. So if you press the chat in the webinar, you can now see the link. And I'm just about to put it on the YouTube channel as well. So if you just click on that link, it'll then open up the hidden page on Liz's shop that's got the discounted thing. And I'll just put that on YouTube as well now.
Very clever of you. I don't know how you do all these things, John.
Oh, it's a lot of juggling, a lot of plate spinning.
What about plate dropping? I can do plate dropping.
Oh, yeah, but... I can do that too.
Oh, marvellous. Well, how exciting. Right. Okay, I reckon we're ready for layer 2. If people... So... what I mean by layer 2, if you imagine we've got this pile of leaves that we're kicking through as we walk through the wood or whatever it is, layer 1 is the top leaf, and we have painted layer 1. But layer 2 is this leaf, so we can only see part of it. And then layer 3 is the one underneath, and we can only see another little bit of it. So how do we do this? And you've got to get your head round it, because this leaf is under here. So let me show you. Say, let's place it there. I've got my lovely, nice, curvy stem coming off. And then I am only drawing to this point, because this bit of the leaf is actually tucked under. I can't see that bit. So I'm doing these lines a bit heavier so that you can hopefully see it on the camera and understand what I'm saying. So this bit of the leaf is actually underneath, so I'm not going to outline that. But this bit we can see. So if I hold that up, that's not really, you can see that outline. And this bit of the leaf is underneath my top one. It'll be clearer when I start painting. I'm going to do a second one over here, because then if I paint both of them, you've got time to catch up. So again, this chunk of leaf here would be hidden by my top leaf. So I don't pencil that bit in. If you're struggling to work it out, you could do the whole of the leaf and then just rub out the bit that you don't need. But hopefully you'll get the hang, well, not hopefully, of course you'll get the hang of it. So I've drawn in another leaf underneath. And again, we just paint in exactly the same way and it will become obvious. But this time we don't paint over our top leaf. Our top leaf needs to stay there. Let's just change colour and give you a bit more of contrast so that you can really see what's going on. Can you see that now I've suddenly got the edge of that second leaf showing up? And if I say come up here, let me bring that top. And I'm going to just keep the same process of making sure I don't get a sort of a halo going on. I'm just going to bring that round. And you can see that I've started to get the top edge of that leaf appearing. Again, if I just maybe am a bit stronger with some of my colours, it'll show up a lot easier on the camera. So I might be more subtle than this normally, but just so that you can really see it clearly on the camera, I'm going to use some really quite gutsy colours. And again, I'm drawing this away, quite like leaving those little marks there just so it looks like something more's happening. I'm coming down here like that. So can you see that this second leaf, a little bit of it is tucked under this first leaf that we painted. If I come down here while you're painting, I'm going to come down there. Just go careful here. And take that away. I've got my stalk here. So I'm going to put that in. And I think the stalks make a beautiful pattern. Actually, the stalks and the directions of the stalks make a nicer pattern than the leaves, to be honest. So let's maybe come down to here. Just take that away. And now we've got this leaf that is tucked under that top one again. So I now need to come around here. So it's all negative painting. When painting the air around my leaves, not the leaves themselves.
Now, Susie's asked, can I add more salt to this second layer?
You could, yes. I mean, just go careful it doesn't get too busy, really. So you could. Often salt doesn't work as well in a second layer. It must be, I don't know, something to do with the physics of it. But you could try. You would have absolutely nothing to lose. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to hold us up. But yeah, if you want to, give it a go. Absolutely. So we've now actually got 4 leaves, and I did it in just the same way, building up those layers and the colour.
Brilliant. It's really effective, isn't it?
It is effective. And then, of course, you can do a third layer and a fourth layer and by that time you're probably bored. So I was going to say a fifth and a sixth, but, let's not be too silly. But so then I need to dry this layer again, rub out those pencil lines, and then pop in my third layer, say underneath here and there. Have I got time to do that, John? Are you happy?
How long will it be?
5 minutes. Can you give me 5 minutes?
Okay,
or is that...
You've got 5 minutes. You've got 5 minutes. Come on, let's do it.
No pressure. Right, I'm going to do
While you're doing that, I will. Okay, yeah, hair dry.
Sorry.
No, you can hair dry. It's fine. I think it'll cut the noise off, so I think it'll be all right.
Okay.
And while Liz is doing that, obviously, we'd love to see your artwork as well. So when you've finished, we've got a post on our Facebook page. Search Shopkeep Arty on Facebook, and then you'll see the post that we did for Liz's Arty class this morning. And there's also a link in the description of YouTube as well. So just underneath, if you click on the description, there's the link there. If you click on that, it goes straight to the Facebook post, and then just take a photo of what you've created out of this Arty class when you finished it, and post it up there. And then Liz will be able to comment on all your art. I hope she doesn't mind me saying it. I'm sure she'll comment on all the art submissions we have.
It would be lovely. No, I love seeing what people do, because we've all kind of done the same process, etc. Possibly with the same colours, and they'll all look utterly different. So yeah, please.
Brilliant. So that'll be fantastic. So please do post it on there. Mary Ann has got her hand up. Let me just bring her in to have a conversation.
I'm going to carry on painting while we converse, because otherwise John's going to cut me off, because he's only given me a few minutes.
Mary Ann, hello.
Would you add any of the veins on the leaves and any more colour into the leaves? Because some of my leaf areas are a bit dull.
I mean, in this process, because we're trying to be 100% negative, I wouldn't.
Right.
But of course you could, because it's your painting. It's not my painting. So you could. And what actually would be lovely is you could actually print with the backs of your leaves if they've got a lot of veins on them. So literally put some watercolour on the back of a leaf and print to get those veins. And that would look beautiful. But I'm not going to do that, because I'm being 100% negative, even though I'm a very positive person. But on this occasion, I wanted to show fully negative.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Marianne. Thanks. And I guess because we did do we did a part 1 and a part 2 of using different techniques. Do you remember the first one? There was so many people coming up with different questions and different techniques that they were using, which I'd definitely advise that if people are watching this and didn't watch that, to go and try and hunt out that YouTube video. But one of those techniques there was using cling film, if you remember, and that can create quite a leafy texture if it's printed in the right way, can't it?
I thought that would be really nice for doing this, but cling film takes forever to dry, and I was conscious we only had those 45 minutes.
Well done.
The reason that I didn't do it, because cling film could take like 2 hours to dry, and you can't.
What's cling film in America again? I can't remember.
Sarin wrap.
Sarin wrap.
Sarin wrap.
Yeah. There we go.
So it takes forever to dry, and you can't hair dryer it, because you just blow it straight off the paper. So that's why I didn't choose it. But you're absolutely right. It could be really nice. Was that quick enough to bump?
No, that was brilliant. Just to show the technique. No, that's perfect. Yeah. Now, Avi's said that their leaves have been very, very dry, and so therefore they're coming to pieces, so that they do have to have a little bit of moisture still left in them, I would imagine, when you're using the leaves. Otherwise they'll just crumble.
Yeah, I mean, the leaf is only our inspiration. I mean, if it's really dry, just draw it freehand. I've only traced around them because I wanted to do it super quick to show you. So you don't even need a real leaf. You know what a leaf looks like, so you can easily just imagine it. And I just wanted to come back to to this one, the one I showed you at the beginning, and you can see we've got like first layer, we've got a second layer here. I think we've got a third layer. I think I may have even done 4 layers on this one, but you can build up and fill in areas and just play as you go. If I was going to finish this, which I'll try and finish it later, you know, I'll tuck another one behind there, I'll tuck another behind there, and just build it up.
Yeah.
But that is negative painting, and it was
that's really good.
useful.
And we've got Yvonne with her hand up. So let me bring Yvonne in to say something. You just need to unmute, Yvonne.
Oh, hi. I've heard that you can use tissue paper instead of cling film. Apparently it dries quicker.
It does, because the cling film is plastic, so it stops any evaporation, whereas the tissue paper is absorbent, so you get a bit more evaporation going on through it. It gives a softer mark in my experience. So
I heard that somewhere. So,
yeah,
so I thought
lovely.
that might be helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Yvonne. Thank you. Yeah, I guess the tissue paper will, because it'll absorb some of the paint, it will make it lighter, won't it? Yeah. Whereas the cling film will keep the paint on the page, as it were.
You get a sharper line, with cling film you get a sharper line. So they're both really lovely textures. Obviously, if you don't want to use single-use plastic, then tissue paper is a good option as well, if you're, you know, from an environmental point of view. Yeah.
Brilliant. So coming to the end of another successful Arty class. Liz, we've done some crazy Arty classes together, so it's great to have you back. We've had another question from Louise in Israel. Is it also possible to go round the salt marks for nice designs?
Oh gosh, if you are very sure-handed, I think you would struggle, because say look at those salt marks here. I would really struggle to paint round them to emphasize them more. I think you would lose some of that softness. So if you can, brilliant. I just don't think my hand would be steady enough to do that. But yeah, go for it. Have a go. Yeah.
Go for it, Louise. Let's see. And put your painting up on Facebook afterwards, and let's see how you got on with that. So it's been another fantastic Arty class. We've learned a few new things about negative painting as well, which has been fantastic. Please put your paintings up on Facebook so that Liz can have a look at those and comment. If you are interested in joining both Liz and myself on the 3rd of November, then now's the chance to use that hot ticket link, which is in the chat if you're in the webinar, and it's on the YouTube chat if you're on YouTube. As soon as I finish this webinar, it'll all kind of disappear. So if you want to take advantage of that, click on the link now, and then you can always go back to the link later, but at least it will have opened up the special page for you. We've had thank you from Linda Young. That was great. We've had thanks on YouTube. We've had some really good feedback, I think, during the class as well, Liz. So it's been really interesting class, and we've ended up with it's amazing how effective it looks when you layer the leaves on top of one another. It gives a real depth, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a lovely way of working, and I can't believe how quickly that class went. I had visions of doing 4 layers and singularly failed. So yeah, have some fun, and I'll really look forward to seeing all the paintings on Facebook, and I'll finish this off and put that on Facebook as well, just as an idea of what you could do.
Brilliant.
So it's a really good technique to have.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. So thank you again for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope and look forward to seeing those of you that are joining me this Thursday at our special life model portrait. He's not going to be naked, by the way. It's a live model. A naked Olympian. That would get some press. But no, it's just, he's going to be fully dressed, and yes, going to be a really interesting class and it starts at 2:00. We amended the time, by the way, because we're hiring an art studio in Edinburgh, and for daylight reasons and also the coronavirus restrictions, 2:00, we had to amend it from 3:30 to 2. So it starts at 2:00 this Thursday. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you there for that one. That should be a really interesting one. So great. Thanks again for joining us. It's bye-bye from me. And obviously, thank you very much to Liz.